Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast.
Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Jim LaRoe. Jim LaRoe is Symphion's dynamic leader with a special combination of skills, experience, and insight that has driven Symphion's success since inception to the world's leader in Fleet Cybersecurity. Jim is a Rice University engineer, accomplished trial lawyer, and repeat successful entrepreneur. Symphion, founded in 1999, is based in Dallas, Texas. Is a software and services company specializing in Fleet Cybersecurity. Its flagship offering, Fleet Cybersecurity as a Service, is a fully managed vendor-agnostic solution designed to secure one of the most overlooked and vulnerable segments of the network, printers. Well, good afternoon, Jim. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Brian, how you doing today?
Amazing, my friend. I appreciate it. And jumping on a podcast with me today is one of my favorite things in the world to do. And you're just hailing out of Dallas, Texas. So you're just south of me. We're in the same time zone. But Jim, if we could, let's jump into your first question. You have a rare combination of skills: engineer, trial lawyer, and entrepreneur. How have these diverse experiences shaped your leadership style, approach, and growth at Symphion?
I think they absolutely have in all aspects of it. You know, that our approach at Symphion can be summarized with really three things. We have a relentless work ethic, and that kind of maps to the successful trial lawyer. You know, those guys, if they slack off, they lose and don't get paid. So that aspect of it draws from there. We focus on listening to customers and continual innovation. Yeah, I've been trained as an engineer. I come from a family of professional engineers, and I've worked with some of the top in the world. So at Symphion, our technical leadership and technical abilities are really our foundation, and they're unmatched. We have the smartest engineers on the planet in this space. And, you know, really the third thing about our approach that kind of maps to me is our focus on excellence in customer service and delivering value at all times. And those are really key entrepreneurial traits that, you know, you got to have for a successful business. You asked me about growth. We hire smart, like-minded, apprentice them to the Symphion way, and then really empower them to contribute and grow their careers.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And you're absolutely right. I'll highlight a couple of things that I thought were interesting. That relentless work ethic obviously comes being a trial lawyer. I can only imagine the stress going into that. But having that background in engineering, you have a strong background within your family, and that has also helped. What I heard is you're listening to customers, customer service, obviously, but that helps you continue to improve and innovate around your platform. So I really appreciate that. Jim, Fleet Cybersecurity is often overlooked in enterprise security strategies. What makes printers such a vulnerable attack vector, and why do you think they've been neglected for so long?
Oh, why are they vulnerable? That's a big question, but it's a combination of three things. The state of the devices themselves sitting out on the network, you know, they account for 20 to 30% of the endpoints on everybody's network. The lack of awareness of the risks that the businesses that depend on them have, and exponential growth of the cybercrime industry. Printers are really complex business machines. It's not just a printer anymore. You know, for 40 years, the manufacturers have all competed across the world with added features, and they've got incredible, from the camera to the document sorter, they've laid incredible business enabling features on top of it with multiple servers built in, like a web server, an email server, a fax server, an FTP server that's downloading and uploading software, limitless communication protocols built in, a huge hard drive. They transmit and process and store our most sensitive data, and they touch these other systems in our businesses that are, you know, really essential, that with stored credentials to those systems that are like our email and file server and credential server. But the printers, and we've been doing this a while, they're on the corporate networks, unhardened, sitting at factory defaults, unprotected, unmonitored, and unpatched for the most part, sitting out like in healthcare, sitting out in the middle of the hospital with complete physical access and not visible. They're really not being accounted for. You take that situation and put it in today's cybercrime reality, and it's just a recipe for disaster waiting to happen.
Absolutely. And coming from operations technology background for many years, working in healthcare, I see a lot of that. Obviously, there's a lot more sensitivity around printers over the last decade and a half, the way it stores PHI and that sort of thing. But I want to highlight those 3 points. You talked about the state of the devices, that 20 to 30% of your enterprise endpoints are printers, which that's a big number, right? Then the lack of awareness, obviously, of the vulnerability of these devices just by the general staff, even in the traditional IT shops, right? And then the exponential growth of the cybercrime industry has really made this just really another target for them to go after. So I appreciate you sharing all that.
You asked me one thing I didn't answer you about why they've been neglected, do you think? So they've grown up largely in supply chain and procurement, especially in healthcare and outside of IT, and IS. So no one's really owned printer security especially in healthcare industry. There hasn't been a line item for it. So that's contributed to the lack of understanding of the extreme risks involved and how to eliminate those too. We're out here educating folks. That's why we're talking to guys like you to bring this to the front of thought, to help prioritize this risk.
Absolutely. And I appreciate that. That's such a big deal these days. Jim, Symphian's Print Fleet Cybersecurity as a Service is positioned as a fully managed vendor agnostic solution. Can you explain what that means in practical terms for IT teams and CISOs, especially those working within healthcare?
Absolutely. So it's a service like electrical service to your house. Our service protects print fleets for customers. That's all the printers that make up their printer endpoints, and they don't have any operational lift to do that. We do it all for them, and we do it all for an affordable fee that includes the licensing of our software and our trained professionals to operate it as a service. So, like healthcare systems, they're our biggest focus. We've got customers with 30,000 devices in their fleet. Printers are mission critical for that patient care for departments like admissions, discharge, ER, pharmacy, labs, and they're throughout hospitals, even after the adoption of electronic medical record systems. Yet these companies that we see, they're gambling with no approach or dated, ineffective approaches to addressing this risk. And printers really, even though they're mission critical and they handle the most sensitive, like you were talking about, EFI and regulated data, they aren't priorities. They haven't made them priorities, even though they're really valuable to criminals. So a lot of them that we're seeing now, especially in healthcare, it's like, they've got to get hacked before they find Jesus in jail, so to speak, like we say here in Texas. But so we're out there educating and trying to help them protect. This is a turnkey solution. It solves the problem for them, takes their lift off, and is a very economical solution to get it done at the highest level.
Thank you. Again, really appreciate that. Having that service, right? You talked about your service protects print fleets, 100% hands off for the customer, and it's just a low cost, which everybody likes, kind of out of sight, out of mind, knowing that that's taken care of. But many healthcare systems don't have any strategy for protecting these endpoints. And I'm glad, as you mentioned, you're continuing to educate and protect your customers. I think that's so important. Jim, the last question of the day, what advice do you have for enterprise leaders trying to build a more holistic cybersecurity strategy that doesn't overlook physical or legacy infrastructure like printers?
Well, the short answer is kind of self-serving, but they can contact us, give us a call. We do briefings all day, every day across all the U.S. time zones. We listen, provide guidance. It's no charge. Takes about 45 minutes. We hear about their current challenges and goals, discuss the available options, the pros and cons, the approximate costs associated, and answer any questions. And, we can point them in the right direction, even if it's not us, or not us now. And, another thing that they could do is for the ones having trouble that, most information security folks, they know that they have this risk out there, but they may have trouble getting buy-in. So we're launching in August a one-time electronic cybersecurity assessment for all or a portion of customers' fleets. It's a paid gig because we've got a pretty heavy lift up front, but it'll have the proof, of their exposure for any non-believers that they have inside the company. And we're offsetting that cost against the full program too. So maybe you'll have me back to talk about that in the future.
Absolutely. I really appreciate that. The big thing I took away from that is obviously, people can reach out to you and get some amazing but free education And again, what I really liked is providing that information at no cost. No matter where they shop, no matter what they decide, they walk away armed with some really good information from you. And I think that's the best way really to build that tribe, that community around what you're trying to do. And obviously in the end, you'll have customers come your way. So I appreciate that. Jim, it was such a pleasure having you on today, and I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Brian, thank you so much for having me today. Thank you.
Bye for now.